what I plan on doing.
Yeah, well, then it's not a matter of frequency, then it's just a matter of well, you can't assume anything on this. You're going to have to test it. So, if it doesn't work, I guess. So we don't know how much trouble that is. Someone will test it.
Well, that was fun.
So I think what you do is you take a hand mic
So, hey everybody.
with you and you go test
I'm thinking,
that system.
I know maybe your breakfast got cold, but now you know what it's like to be president and have cold breakfast. Should do that more often. So that was a heck of a dance. I do that every morning before I get up. Especially the flips.
Yeah, I want to see the cartwheels.
Yeah, I'll do that later for you.
I think we had that at one debunking.
You want to mention that you see the little piggy banks on your table. Those are collecting money for Felicia, and this will be the last day we do that because we collected all the money. We're covered. So, I went by announcements really fast. Did I leave anybody out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I did. Go, Al.
Yes, last Saturday, our club participated in Rebuilding Together, and we've had 10 volunteers that worked their butts off. We did landscaping, cleanup of a yard, filled up 40-yard debris box, built a fence with gates. What else did we do? Oh,
debris.
We
moved debris.
Kathy put a lot of debris in the debris box and was getting very upset because the homeowner would keep taking it out after she put it in. So we had to give, I really wanted to get her a Valium. But I had to tell her, go to the corner and breathe deeper. Also, we fixed the garage door, put a whole new sliding system on it, and outriggers with the beam and posts and all. It was some good carpentry was done. So I'd like everybody that participated to please stand up and be recognized for the hard work. Any of you guys have anything to say?
A lot of fun.
How's your back, Jim?
I'd like to recognize our fearless leader, Al. He had that thing so well organized. There was one board left over. That's how well he planned it out. It was amazing. So, here's to Al.
Here's to Al. Here's to Al. He's a horse's ass. Hey, future president, DJ.
Mardi Gras night is coming up in February. No, wait a minute. Al didn't mention that Jim and I and his partner Sid had to dig out old concrete post holes. And I don't know if you've ever been involved in that, but we had picks and sledgehammers and effort. It took probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to get that stuff out. It took all morning. Poor Jim went home with a bad back and is here today. But it was late in the day and he just, that was it. Everything was accomplished pretty much. So I just want to say the crew was a hell of a crew. Thanks all.
Yeah.
Yay us.
One more announcement on Rebuilding Together. I wasn't there, but I want to give kudos to my employer, Umpqua Bank, because they did make a donation to Rebuilding Together. Oh, great.
Thank you, Victor. So let's go ahead and start our program. Harvey, I'll run your video now. Right? So you can just stay there and I'll run the video.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Well,
okay, well then. Harvey is our speaker. He's been working very hard on his presentation. And we're going to run this video now that you guys will recognize. You will have to.
Silent movie.
Oh.
It sounds like it.
I'm on.
Yeah, that was sad.
Where's Ken Brand when you need him?
Is there something up here I should be pushing?
Well, on the remote control, is there a sound button on the remote control, Chair? And then make sure your computer's its sound is up.
There you go.
Jerry Consulting, Loudoun County Public Health is going to help you out.
Okay, that note. So I got it.
We're going back in time, not only we're going all about telling all nature and mighty
Well, we all recognize Huel.
The late Huel.
My mom had a real thing for Huel Hauser.
I do too.
Oh, see there. Okay. And there is a microphone. Microphone for our speaker. Who's got one?
Help me.
Nicole.
My name is now me. I wanted to run this video of Bill Hauser to pay tribute to him because I believe he is one of the preeminent
contemporary historians of California. He was hired by the Los Angeles School District to teach California history to 4th grade students. That's what they study, is California history. And when people make fun of him for the way he talks, when I took my teaching methods class, they told me, tell them what you're going to teach them, then teach them, and then tell them what you taught them. And that's exactly what Huel does. And I wanted to recognize it because he did 1,700 episodes of the most interesting places in California. And I think that's a real legacy in his life. Okay, so this is going to be a stream of consciousness story of my life and Sturgeon's Mill. I spent my life, my early childhood years playing at Sturgeon's Mill, observing people, and it was such a rich time. And at 10 years old, I was sitting on top of the boiler. The boiler is what makes the steam, or it's what holds the steam. And it was a cold, foggy morning, and I was sitting on top of the boiler because it was warm. And I watched, at 10 years old, I watched this whole symphony of sounds and smells of turpentine and smoke and the building trembling, and watched these men working in concert with each other, moving the lumber down the road, down to the end of the mill, doing what automatic machines do today. They didn't talk, they looked at each other, and they knew what to do. And I had this dream that started at 10 years old, and I sat there, I can remember it vividly, and it was that this mill will always be here, and someday people will come to see it. And that was 62 years ago. My life at Sturgeon's Mill represents to me, it's an anchor to my past because I was there when I was a child. But it also brings back Sebastopol memories. And in the 50s, in Sebastopol, America was a place of peace, growth, prosperity. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Patrick. Prosperity, and at the time we thought unlimited resources. I think that people in Sebastopol were more connected then. They talked to each other more. People came over and played canasta. They did card games. They played their ukuleles. My sister was 12 years older than me, so I grew up with 40s music. And Sebastopol had 7 mail deliveries a week, Monday through Saturday. And on Saturday, there was a morning and an afternoon mail delivery. Can you believe that? So I came home from Sturgeon's Mill. I was named after my uncle Harvey, who was a Marine aviator. He had bullet hole scars all over his body, and he landed the first plane on Iwo Jima. I came home from the hospital, Palm Drive Hospital, on top of the hill, which is not there anymore, in the hospital that's not there anymore, that had monkey cages behind it. And I came to Sebastopol in 1945, January 25th, 12:10 in the morning, at 10.5 pounds. I was, so here's the cabin, a quarter mile above the mill that I came home to. My dad got the cabin for free because the septic system had failed, and he agreed to fix it. So this is the first lumber I ever cut at that cabin above the mill. And then in 1948, 3 years later, Dad bought a piece of property at the top of Fircrest and St. Helena Way. And I'm sitting on St. Helena Way right now. Dad's building the house over here, and Fircrest is the background. This is all Sebastopol. Mount St. Helena would be right about over there. I'm helping Dad put in the front lawn here. This is Fircrest. And about 10 or 11 years old, I burned this field down over here with a sparkler on my arrow and shot in the air. I thought it was so cool. It didn't work out too well. This is the first picture of me at the mill. My grandpa's holding me. Jens Henningsen, Wilhelmina Henningsen. My brother is 9 years older than me. My sister's 12 years older than me. Mom and Dad and my cousins. My dad was a really hard worker. In high school, he was on the field and track team with Ralph Sturgeon, and Ralph told me they called him Slim then because with 97 pounds when he was a senior, he worked hard and he was the front man at the mill. He did the hiring, the firing, he did the estimating, he did the bill collecting, and he carried a heavy burden for the mill because he tried to keep it an antique mill. So, this is my mother, Esther Bertha Olson Henningsen, standing next to what we would call a lumber carrier or a straddle buggy. And this is Jack Miller right here, and he was my coach when I played Pop Warner football. My dad is holding his hand up here to give scale to these logs. These were common-sized logs when I was a kid, and you can see that they're cut in half and they're quartered. And the reason was that they were too big to get into the mill. Previously to that, they blew them in half with dynamite. And here's a picture of me holding my hand up, giving scale. And I'd have to say I was somewhere between the 3rd and 6th grade because I got a sheath knife on. I was the first kindergarten class to go to Pinecrest, and they let you wear knives to school. And I remember I got in trouble one recess because I cut my knee open and while I was carving on a piece of wood. People could do stuff like that back then because there was no real intent about what was going to happen. Here's my dad on top of a log, 1944, the year before I was born, so that was when they were blowing the logs in half. And he's getting ready to set the hook, which we call a becket, in the log, and they're going to pull it over. Now you see this diagonal cable here. It was called the safety cable. And what you were supposed to do if the log was starting to roll on you and squish you, you were supposed to jump off the truck and grab the cable until everything was clear. Andrew Blaney was my dad's partner in logging, and he was a cantankerous old bastard. I set chokers for him one summer when I was in JC, and he threatened to kill me. He said, if you were a dog, I'd shoot you, and I was up on the hill going, oh, and Jimmy Larson, one of the logging truck drivers, came in one day, and I said, Jimmy, I can't seem to get along with Andrew. We're arguing all the time. And his answer was, it seems like you've got a perfectly normal cat skinner, choker setter relationship to me. When you come to the mill, this is the parking area, and it's all open on the other side now, but it used to be our log deck, which we called the cold deck, because all summer long they would bring logs in. They had a high line that went between two A-frame poles, and they filled it up, and in the winter time, when you couldn't get in the woods and it was cold, you drew from the cold bed. Well, this line went to the other side, and the line that went down went to a contraption like this, which is called a Skagit. And that's Adrian McDowell there. And so, as time went on, as a 10-year-old, I used to sit right about here, and I'd watch them unload the logs, and then after they unloaded the logs, I gave myself the job of unhooking the latch on the truck. This is called the stinger, this is the dolly, and then I put the cable on the dolly. They could pick up the dolly and back the truck up. He'd save one trip of getting off the equipment to do that, and they paid me a nickel a truck, so I hung out there. One day, Adrian got off of this, and he came down to me, and he started scolding me. He said, you shouldn't be here. He said, that cable broke, it would come down and cut you in half. Well, I got up, 10-year-old, lips pouting, walked up the hill to right about here, and less than a minute later, I swear, less than a minute later, all the anchors for this gave way, and Adrian and the whole machine went up in the air, the cables pulling them, and landed right here. And that's happened to me about 6 times in my life. I am richly blessed and highly favored to be alive. This is my 8th grade graduation. I just wanted to see how my mom and dad look at each other. They were pretty cool people. I lived at the top of Fircrest and St. Helena. This is St. Helena, Fircrest. And because I lived on the top of the hill, this is going down to 116, and the other way it looked just like this. It went to McFarland. Oops. And I was into roller coasters, and we went down to the city dump, which was behind the community center here, which was next to the sewer farm, and got baby buggy wheels, and we made lots of coasters. Right here on the corner of Litchfield and Fircrest was where we played baseball. This was an empty lot, and Peter Pliny lived here, and across the street lived Mr. Plumley, Lem Plumley, who was in town. And everybody called him Shorty, including the high school kids. By the way, he sat out in front of the school and did more counseling with the punks of the school than any of the counselors at that time. It was pretty amazing. Anyway, one day we were playing baseball, and I hit the softball through the window, and I had to go get the ball. The thing about Shorty was, he knew everybody in town, he knew everybody's car, and if your parking meter ran out, he would hunt you down in the stores and tell you to go put money in the meter before you had to get the check. This is Screaming Mimi's. When I lived on Fircrest, our next door neighbors were the Browns. They owned it. It was a creamery then, and every Saturday morning we'd go down and they cleaned out the ice cream machines, and we ate the ice cream. When I was in high school, it was sold to Don's, and Dennis Don became my best friend. And on days we'd go down and open it up. They had a beautiful fountain in there, and we'd have our balls. I was a failed athlete. This I was on Sebastian's first Pop Warner team, first Little League team, first Pony League team. I was a left-handed, size 12, dyslexic, ADD kid. And my coaches and Pop Warner football took a ballpoint pen and put odd on this hand and even on this hand, because I was a right guard, and you were supposed to block to the left on odd and right on even, so I couldn't right with my hands. And about 3 plays later, the other guy knew what I was going to do too. So, this is Peter Pellini, this is George Fiore, that's me, this is John Ford, Jack Ford, and Russ Scher, our ex-fire chief, was our coach. This is the first vehicle I ever drove, 10 years old. It's a 1924 Doris. This is the biggest log that ever came to the mill. This is my friend Skip Marshman and me. Skip Marshman used to hit the ball out of the park all the time. Well, I got to high school, and I really still wanted to be an athlete. And I shot hoops at home and shot hoops at home, and I went out for the Manly basketball C team. And at 16 years old, when I got cut from that team, it was a harmonic convergence to cars, alcohol, and girls. And I had a very, very fast Chevy. I raced down to Toddy drag strip. I got trophies down there. And we would race at the Navy Airport at nighttime on the runway until the police came. So this was my spot. This is Litchfield. This is the gas station. I worked there. I was a flying aide. And my yellow, canary yellow 57 Chevy, that was my spot, right on the corner there. This is the Anley Theater. The Anley Theater used to be right across the street here. And then there was the canteen where the dances were, and this was Art Point Studios. This was a gas station, and Henry Martin had his nursery on the other side. I'm going to call this the breakfast story. This is for the Anley principals here. There was a librarian at Anley. Her name was Mrs. Pedroia. And she had 2 daughters and a son, and I was dating one of the daughters, Yvonne. And her son, Vince, was my best friend. For some reason, my car was not running, and we were on a double date, and so Helen lent us her 1960 Rambler station wagon. So we were driving up on Barnadale there, right up the street here, towards Anley, at my time drinking beer and slow gin. And I was driving, and there were no fences or trees at that time. Maybe it was because of me they are now. But all of a sudden, we were on the lawn and we were just doing these loops. And we were laughing and laughing. And then we got back down, and then a policeman came along, and the girls had 2 poop squirts on, so they stuffed the beer and the slow gin up there, up underneath their dresses, and it was fine until they told us to get out. Then we became the breakfast food. This is an important component of my adolescent scientific experiments. This was Moran's School Hall, but the next place was the most important because it wasn't Jasper Farrell's, it was Tomei's Hardware and Sporting Goods. And I was interested in sporting goods, generally guns, but specifically the gunpowder. And my friends and I would go down there and buy cans of gunpowder, and then we'd go home and make pipe bombs. Prom picture with my future wife. I lost her in 1992. Sebastopol had 4 auto dealerships. There was William Edmund, which is across, the building's still there, it's across from the community market. You all know where Pellini Chevrolet was. There was Dan Sharoni, who sold Dodges, Chrysler, and Plymouths. And he was here on Petaluma Avenue. And there was W.A. Phillips, who sold Oldsmobiles, Pontiacs, and GMC trucks. And he was, right where my car's parked here, on Hillsburg Avenue, right by Peter Lowell's. And then there was a truck dealership in town. This is here to remind you that in 1964, we took my dad's boat. It was a huge flood. Everything was flooded. Launched it on Occidental Road. I water skied up this street here, went east towards Santa Rosa to the standard station, looped around, came back. There were no cell phones, no pages then, but we just hoped that that a photographer would be there, but it wasn't. Then I went to college and joined a fraternity, and I was doing industrial arts. I started taking graphic arts, and then I took my first photography class, and I knew I had found my niche in life. We lived in a 2-bedroom house with 4 guys, 4 dogs, and 1 raccoon. In my senior year, I took a National Student Defense loan for $3,000, went out and bought a motorcycle. And this is my first day of teaching in Salinas. I got a brand new pickup. This is what all teachers do. They go out and buy a new car, pick up a Fleety, a brand new bike. Showed up the day that school started from Sebastopol. Did my day and went and spent a week at a motel before I placed myself. One of my early classes. Then I got a job teaching 4 years over in Europe, and this is Linda, my love, inside of Harrods in London. This is one of the first selfies here. Linda and I went everywhere. We traveled for 4 years with packs on our back. And, I've been pickpocketed in Moscow, and we slept on the streets of Tangier. And this is the first time I went to jail. After I took this picture, this is now called Bosnia-Herzegovina. Back then it was called Yugoslavia. It was called Yugoslavia. So I'm now come back to Sebastopol, did 35 years of photography, and re-engaged. And Jack Gervith, who was my history teacher in Andrew and kicked me out of class, asked me to do a talk to the West County Historical Society. And when we were done, they all applauded, and I turned to Jack and I said, "What do we do now, Jack?" And he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "We don't do anything." He said, "You do it. I just start people." So he was an incredible man. This is the first location of Sturgeon's Mill out in Coleman Valley. There's 18 head of beast of burdens there. And this is the location that it first was at. This is my dad and Ralph. And in 1964, I became half owner in the mill. It was half owner for about 40 years. And then in 2004, Bob became half owner. And then we turned our ownership over to a 501c3 corporation. And when we gave the mill away, we got a crew. So these are the series of crews that we've had over the years. And they tend to get bigger and bigger. And now we have 60 volunteers. This is the longest parade entry ever in the Apple Blossom. It goes from the stoplights to the church there. And I want to talk about our volunteers now. They come the first Saturday of every month to work on the mill. And you cannot believe what talented men, 20 or 30 talented men at a time, and all the equipment you can think of can do in half a day or a day. Before we run every meeting, or before we have every demonstration run, we have a safety meeting. Before we have every work day, we have a safety meeting. And that's the reason why. That's my partner Bob down there sharpening saws. This is a flatbed planer, 1800s. This is the inside of a firebox for our donkey, logging donkey. And at Sturgeon's Mill, there is steam everywhere when you run. If you come, it's best to come in the morning when it's cool. These are our most important crew members, our dozers. You can have as talented people as you want inside cutting lumber, but if people don't understand what's going on, it's not of any value. So we call ourselves a working museum. In the morning, it's very, very ethereal. almost dreamlike. They fire up the steam engines, and then the steam seeps up through the floorboards to the top. It's very dreamlike up there too. Very dangerous out there. These are some of the steam engines. And this is what hooked me as a child, is the rhythmic cadence, the repeating pattern. It truly is hypnotic. When people go there, they just spend hours watching that carriage go back and forth. And it's almost like performance art. Every pass is different, every pad. We do custom cut lumber. If anybody are interested in, we're not a production, we're a demonstration, but we do sell lumber as a result of that. Our docents are our most important crew members. This is a lady from Lucas Studios, and she's recording all the sounds at the mill for a future Star Wars movie. What we really enjoy the most is seeing the intergenerational relationships between grandpas and grandsons, or granddaughters and grandmas, and sometimes 3 generations come. By the way, did I mention that we were open this weekend? Something I'm very proud of, we have special interest groups that come, and if you get there late, you're not going to get in. That's our parking lot. It's just full, and you're out on the street right there. This is my special, proud part of the mill right here. I'm the coordinator for student education, and this is the day we had 450 kids, and we limited now to 200 at a time. We show everything, all kinds of, and let them be themselves. They can touch things, they can blow the whistle, they can turn the steam engines, and they can learn about metallurgy. And at noontime, we give them a history lesson, and then we let them experiment with, like, place an old-fashioned bacon. They've never done these things before. It's pretty amazing. And the hooks come in. So I'm going to close this by saying, if there's anybody in the group here, male or female, who likes history, who likes talking to people, we have an opening for 3 crew members as docents. And if you're interested, please come talk to me.
I was telling Harvey, you're never going to get through all those slides. It's not going to happen, is it? So, good work. How many people have been out and seen the thing work? Oh, there you go. You got a bunch of fans here. I was going to say, you need to go.
We're running this weekend.
What's that?
I mentioned that we're running the mill this weekend.
You did mention that, yeah. And I think it's a good thing. PJ asked me, has anybody got some good footage of Felicia's dance he would like to include it on the website?
Who was taking, I'll touch base with you. Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay. See what's left. Oh, well, the door prize. Harvey, come back. Harvey, come back, come back. You have to choose.
You must choose.
You must choose one of these. I'll take this. Yeah.
550.
Okay, now you gotta read it. Oh, can you do it? No, me either. 7540. Thank you.
That was Carrie Joy.
Okay, Joe.
All right, what do I got to do?
You gotta choose the ace. You must choose.
Is there an ace there?
There's 4 aces.
Oh!
150 bucks right here, young man.
Oh!
There you go.
That'll pay for gas.
All right, I knew that was going to happen sooner or later. Here's my cartoon. You're This monkey says, a phone is not truly smart until it can take a selfie of itself. I thought that was deep. Well, Joe, do you have the joke for the day? Are you good enough for Lawrence?
I actually have a question for you, Scott.
Okay.
Do you know why cannibals don't eat clowns?
You know, Joe, why don't cannibals eat clowns?
Because they taste funny.
Okay, we love you anyway. Lawrence liked it. So, that was fun, huh? Yeah! Before we go, how about one more hand for Felicia's dance? That was great. So next week, we're all going to do that dance. Yeah! Okay, happy trail. Go home.
Happy trail!